Hi everybody, it's in time for another First Chapter Friday, and the book that I've got today is by Beverly Cleary and it's called Ramona Quimby, age 8. The reason I've chosen a book by Beverly Cleary is April is her birthday month, but sadly last week during spring break, Beverly Cleary, who was 104 years old, passed away. And so she is being remembered this month, not only because it would have been her birthday, but because of her contribution to the literary world. She wrote tons and tons of books, and Ramona Quimby is only one of her series of books about Ramona, who is a little different. So let's read the first chapter, and then you can decide if Ramona Quimby is a series of books that you would love to read by Beverly Cleary. So, Chapter 1, The First Day of School. Ramona Quimby hoped her parents would forget to give her a little talking to. She did not want anything to spoil this exciting day. "Ha! I get to ride the bus to school all by myself," Ramona bragged to her big sister Beatrice at breakfast. Her stomach felt quivery with excitement at the day ahead, a day that would begin with a bus ride, just the right length to make her feel a long way from home, but not long enough, she hoped, to make her feel carsick. Ramona was going to ride the bus because changes had been made in the schools in the Quimby's part of the city during the summer. Glenwood, the girls' old school, had become an intermediate school, which meant Ramona had to go to Cedarhurst Primary School. "Ha ha yourself," Beezus was too excited to be annoyed by her little sister. "Today I start high school." "Junior high school," corrected Ramona, who was not going to let her sister get away with acting older than she really was. "Rosemont Junior High School is not the same as high school, and besides, you have to walk." Ramona had reached the age of demanding accuracy from everyone, even herself. All summer, whenever a grown-up asked what grade she was in, she felt as if she were fibbing when she answered third, because she had not actually started third grade. Still, she could not say she was in second grade since she had finished that grade. Grown-ups did not understand that summers were free from grades. "Ha ha to both of you," said Mr. Quimby as he carried his breakfast dishes into the kitchen. "You're not the only ones going to school today." Yesterday had been his last day working at the checkout counter of the ShopRite market. Today he was returning to college to become what he called a real live school teacher. He was also going to work one day a week in the frozen food warehouse of the chain of ShopRite markets to help the family squeak by, as the grown-ups put it, until he finished his schooling. "Ha ha to all of you if you don't hurry up," said Mrs. Quimby as she swished suds into the dishpan. She stood back from the sink so she could not splatter the white uniform she wore in the doctor's office where she worked as a receptionist. "Daddy, will you have to do homework?" Ramona wiped off her milk mustache and gathered up her dishes. "That's right," Mr. Quimby flicked a dish towel at Ramona as she passed by. She giggled and dodged, happy because he was happy. Never again would he stand all day at a cash register ringing up groceries for a long line of people who always seemed to be in a hurry. Ramona slid her plate into the dishwasher. "And will Mom have to sign your progress reports?" Mrs. Quimby laughed. "Ha ha, I hope so." Beezus was last to finish her dishes and put them into the kitchen. "Daddy, what do you have to study to learn to be a teacher?" she asked. Ramona had been wondering the same thing. Her father knew how to read and do arithmetic. He also knew about the Oregon Trail and about how 2 pints make a quart. Mr. Quimby wiped a plate and stacked it in the cupboard. "I'm taking an art course because I have to teach art, and I'll study child development." Ramona interrupted. "What's child development?" "It's how kids grow," answered her father. "Why does anyone have to go to school to study a thing like that?" wondered Ramona. All her life she had been told the way to grow up was to eat good food, usually food she didn't like, and get plenty of sleep, usually when she had more interesting things to do than sleep. Mrs. Quimby hung up the dishcloth, scooped up Picky, the Quimby's old yellow cat, and dropped him at the top of the basement steps. "Scat, all of you," she said, "or you'll be late for school." After the family's rush to brush teeth, Mr. Quimby said to his daughters, "Hold out your hands," and into each waiting pair he dropped a new pink eraser. "Just for luck," he said, "not because I expect you to make mistakes." "Thank you," said the girls. Even a small present was appreciated, because presents of any kind had been scarce while the family had tried to save money so Mr. Quimby could go back to college. Ramona, who liked to draw as much as her father did, especially treasured the new pink eraser. It was smooth and smelled of rubber. Mrs. Quimby handed each member of her family a lunch. 2 of them were in paper bags and 1 was in a lunchbox. "Now, Ramona," she began, and Ramona sighed. Here it was, the little talking to she always dreaded. "Please remember," said her mother, "you really must be nice to Wila Jean." Ramona made a face. "I'll try, but it's awfully hard." Being nice to Wila Jean was part of Ramona's life that was not changing, the part she wished would change. Every day after school she had to go to her friend Howie Kemp's house, where her parents paid Howie's grandmother to look after her until one of them could get home. Both of Howie's parents went off to work each day, and she liked Howie, but after spending most of the summer, except for swimming lessons in the park and at the Kemp's house, she was tired of having to play with 4-year-old Wila Jean. "No matter what Wila Jean does," complained Ramona, "her grandmother thinks it's my fault because I'm bigger. Like the time Wila Jean wore her flippers when she ran under the sprinkler pretending she was a mermaid and then left big footprints all over the kitchen floor. Mrs. Kemp said I should have stopped her because Wila Jean doesn't know any better." Mrs. Quimby gave Ramona a quick hug. "I know it isn't easy, but keep trying." When Ramona sighed, her father hugged her too and said, "Remember, kid, we're counting on you." And then he began to sing, "We've got high hopes, we've got try hopes." Ramona enjoyed her father's making up new words to songs, but sometimes it was a little tiring. Ramona had too many interesting things to think about to let her responsibilities, though, worry her. She had new sandals on her feet and was excited to go to school. She thought about her father's new part-time job, zipping around the warehouse with a forklift, and then she began to feel like her father teaching children art would be a fantastic thing. And then Ramona thought about Beezus going off to another school where she would get to take a cooking class, and she would be able to come to the rescue of her little sister. And when Ramona reached the bus stop, she found Howie Kemp already waiting with his grandmother and Wila Jean. Howie looked up from his lunchbox, which he had opened just to see what he was going to have for lunch, and said to Ramona, "Those new sandals make your feet look big." "Why, Howie," said his grandmother, "that's not a nice thing to say." Ramona looked at her feet. Howie was right. But why shouldn't her new sandals make her feet look big? She had grown. "Today I'm going to kindergarten," said Wila Jean, who was wearing new coveralls and a t-shirt and a pair of her mother's old earrings. Wila Jean was convinced she was beautiful because her grandmother told her so. Ramona tried to act nice toward Wila Jean. "Not kindergarten, Wila Jean. You mean nursery school." And Wila Jean gave Ramona a cross look. "Bless her heart," said her grandmother. The bus pulled up and everybody got on board. "Good morning. I am Miss Hannah, your bus driver," the woman said. "Take the first seat toward the back." So Ramona and Howie took seats on the bus. Then there was a thump, thump, thump against the back of Ramona's seat, and the bus stopped for other children to get on, and more kids began kicking seats. "Is this your pink eraser?" somebody asked. She had dropped her pink eraser. "Yes," Ramona said, and a boy handed it to her. The bus stopped at Cedarhurst, which was Ramona's new school, and it was a 2-story red brick building, and people began to get off the bus, and it was time for them to go play before school. Then Ramona got to see her new classroom. It was filled with excitement and confusion, and saw people she had seen at her old school, but then there were new people too. One person said, Bigfoot. She realized they were talking about her. Maybe her feet really were big. Would people ever let her forget this? Finally, Ramona sat down. She had her favorite eraser, and she was going to enjoy the challenge of this new year. She began to draw a fancy border, all scallops and curly cues around her name. She was happy because her family had had a happy morning, and because she was big enough for her family to depend on to behave at school. If only she could do something about Wila Jean, because she would have to see her this afternoon. So, it's the beginning of a new school year for Ramona Quimby, age 8. She's at a new school. She's already almost lost her eraser. She's had to deal with kids kicking the back of her seat, and she's going to have to meet some new students. And someone has called her Bigfoot because her brand new sandals that she was so excited about have made her feet look big. Some of you may have had experiences like this whenever you started school at the beginning of the year. You were nervous, you were excited, you met new people. So if you're interested in knowing what happens with Ramona Quimby and her family, who are all seemingly starting new things, then you might want to read Ramona Quimby, age 8. It's available here in the Williams Library, but it's also available online using your CALS Tech card. So if you have any questions or need a CALS Tech card, you know how to get in touch with me. Enjoy your week.